No, 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 no. Cut the intro, cut the intro. This piece of shit does not deserve that introduction. It deserves an introduction that fits perfectly with its stupidity. So cue my alternate intro for this god-awful movie.
Well, folks, this is it. The review you've all been waiting for. My review of G-Saviour. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my suffering. Yeah. Why? Wow, that's the most shit-tastic acting I've ever seen in my entire robotic life. Regardless, this will be fucking great.
It is the Universal Century 0223. The Earth Federation has collapsed, and two new factions were created. The Congress of Settlement Nations, aka Consent, and the Settlement Freedom League. Our main character is a former mobile suit pilot named Mark Current, who works with Hydrogen. I'm not even shitting you, that's what it's called. Anyway, Consent is now dealing with a food crisis, thus they commence a hunt for a woman named Cynthia Graves, who is said to hold a key to solving this food crisis. Mark himself gets mixed up in the conflict and joins up with Cynthia to put a stop to Consent. And that's basically the plot. Wonderful, isn't it? G-Saviour was one of those attempts at a live-action anime adaptation, and like many other attempts that came before and after, it failed miserably. It was produced as a joint effort between the animation studio Sunrise and an American independent film company called Polestar Entertainment. I find it funny that this was produced by both a Japanese and an American company, yet the majority of the actors were Canadian, and this movie was filmed in Canada. Anyway, what do I think of the story of this pile of space dust? Well, I'll put it to you like this. The main conflict of the film is a food crisis. Not a war, not the corruption of a faction, or anything cool like that. Oh no. A food crisis. Yes, that is the best thing they can come up with for a live-action Gundam movie. A food crisis.
Every day when you're walking down the street, and everybody that you meet has an original point of view.
Okay, that was a bit too dramatic. Now, honestly, while it's pretty lackluster on paper, this kind of story can be good if it was executed well. But it was executed poorly in G-Saviour. They show us no effects of the food crisis. None whatsoever. And because of that, there is no reason to really give a shit about the conflict at all, since there is no dramatic weight. It makes you wonder, what's the point of a food crisis when nothing is done with it? The story is also poorly thought out and random as all hell, as we have scenes that have no rhyme or reasoning behind them, and we are put into locations that makes no sense whatsoever. The only thing that's good about the story is that it's fast-paced. That's it. Other than that, it's a fucking mess. As for the characters, well, they are all boring and uninteresting. Mark is such an uninspiring protagonist. He's boring to watch, and he's not engaging in the slightest. Granted, he is different from other Gundam protagonists. He's an adult, and he's got a girlfriend. But honestly, does that even matter when his character is so fucking boring and bland as hell? I don't think so. They try to build his character by giving him a backstory about his horrible experience as a mobile suit pilot, but it comes way too late in the film, and it really doesn't matter anyway. So yeah, Mark is a shitty protagonist. Cynthia is probably the most interesting person of the bunch, but it's only because she is played by Enuka Okuma, the voice actress for Lady Une in Gundam Wing. Other than that, I don't have much to say about her except that, well, she's a scientist, and that she's bland like everybody else. As for the others, well, let's see. Jack is a one-dimensional rival who's pretty much Jared Mesa if he was evil, Mimi is a Skankosaurus whose true intentions were never made clear, and Cynthia has two friends that do shit, but aren't really helpful. Oh, and the two factions in this movie are so not a total ripoff of the Titans and the Ayuk from Zeta Gundam. Overall, the characters are about as boring as watching a typical harem anime, and the story is about as appealing as a beetle eating dung.
So that's all I need to say regarding the story and characters. Let's talk about the visuals next. Won't that be fun?
I don't expect much in terms of the visuals since this is a low-budget film, but considering that this is a Gundam movie, I would at least expect some interesting mobile suit designs and battles to make up for the shitty story, right?
The horror. The horror. The horror.
What the fuck? These are supposedly the most advanced mobile suits of the Universal Century? They look like they came out of the 1-year war. They look like rejected designs from the first Gundam series. You mean to tell me that this is the best you ass-tards can come up with? For a shitty movie that is the farthest entry in the Universal Century? No! No! I will not stand for this! I will not stand for this! Fuck this movie! Fuck this movie up its fucking... Sorry about that. Now, going into more detail on the mobile suits, I understand that this movie was made around a time where CGI wasn't practical to use. But they could have at least designed the mobile suits to look more appealing than they were. Most of the mechs had lifeless colors. I get they were trying to go for a realistic approach, but they could have used some bright colors. It's a strange contrast compared to the other Gundam shows, even compared to the OAF MS team. At least the suits in that OVA had some vibrant colors on them. This just looks depressing. The G-Saviour itself looks like a deformed offspring of the F-91 and the Dendrobium Stamen, with a little bit of G3 mixed in since it has no color to it. The biggest issue I have with this movie are the battles. Holy fuck. They are so slow and boring. I've seen certain Gundam shows that have some tedious fucking fights, but it was never as tedious as it was in G-Saviour. It's bland, it's not thrilling, and it's as slow as a turtle taking a massive diarrhea dump after eating a bunch of flukers at the Shell Shock Derbies. All in all, the CG reeks of baboon fuck. It's an eyesore that makes a Gary's Mod animation look like it's done by James Cameron. If this movie were to have been produced in a later year, then the CGI would have been more practical. But it is what it is. And what it is awful.
Okay, so I pretty much said all I have to say regarding the special effects and visuals or whatever. Is there anything else I need to go over? You're not done yet, you drunken fuck. You still need to talk about the music and the acting. Oh, that. Let's get that over with, and then we'll finally finish this god-awful movie. Ugh.
The music is okay, but does anyone really care? No. The acting is flat and just plain bad. It can be funny at times, but those moments are very rare, and the rest of the acting is just boring as fuck. Except for Enika Okuma. I thought she was alright. This movie is a prime example of why live-action anime adaptations suck balls. It's a movie that is so boring that it makes even the shittiest of movies look decent in comparison. Now, if you view this movie as a cheesy B-movie made for laughs, then it wouldn't be so bad in that aspect. But this was a Gundam movie, and it barely had any of the tropes that made Gundam a good franchise. The characters are crap, the story is crap, the mobile suits look retarded, and the battles are boring. This is the worst thing from the Gundam franchise, and I don't think it will ever be topped. It's quite clear that Bandai and Sunrise were embarrassed of this project. It's rarely mentioned, Tomino openly disapproved of the film, and only the die-hard Gundam fans knew about it. Sure, it had a PS2 game and a model kit to promote it, but it doesn't mean jack shit. It's such an insult, and it makes me rather watch Garzy's Wing again. As mindfuckish as Garzy's Wing was, I would rather take that than be bored out of my mind. Is this worse than Seed Destiny? Oh hell yeah! At least Seed Destiny had some good things about it. G-Saviour was just a shitty movie overall. Stay away from this garbage, no matter how much of a die-hard fan you are, because it will bring you nothing but misery. Final score, do I really need to say it? 1 out of 10. Fuck this movie.
Well, with that, guys, I'm finally done talking about G-Saviour. See? That wasn't so bad now, wasn't it? Well, you know what, Joe? You can kiss my ass.
Ow! Motherfucker.
Serves him right. With the conclusion of my G-Saviour review, I'm pretty much done talking about all the Gundam productions that were made in the 20th century. So now we're going to move on to the 21st century with shows like Seed, Seed Destiny, 00, all that stuff. But I'm not going to do it just yet. Oh no. After the shitstorm that was G-Saviour, and considering the stuff that's going to come up next, I'd rather take a break from Gundam to focus on some of the other things I like to talk about. So, with that said, Gundam-A-Thon is going to be on hiatus, but don't worry, it'll be back as soon as possible. With that said, this is G-Shadow, and I thank you for watching this review. See ya!